Hello, everyone. I hope you are feeling settled and ready to unwind. Take a deep breath in, hold it for a moment, and slowly let it go. Allow your shoulders to drop, your jaw to relax, and let the weight of the day simply drift away. As your body finds stillness, let your mind open to the most powerful force in our lives. Today, we will explore our sun. Throughout human history, every civilization that has ever walked this earth has looked up and felt the same warmth on their skin. They saw the sun as a god, a chariot of fire, or the ultimate source of life. And in many ways, they were right. The sun is not just a light in the sky, it is the anchor of our existence. Imagine for a moment the sheer scale of this celestial furnace. It contains 99.8% of all the mass in our entire solar system. Everything else, all the planets, the hundreds of moons, the millions of asteroids and comets, are merely the leftovers from its creation. As you lie there, think about the distance. The sun is 93 million miles away. Light, traveling at the fastest speed in the universe, takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds to reach us. The warmth you felt on your face today began its journey from the sun's surface before you even stepped outside. But that journey is even older than you think. The energy that warms our world was born in the deep, crushing darkness of the sun's core hundreds of thousands of years ago. It has been struggling to reach the surface, bouncing through a dense maze of atoms, waiting for the moment it could finally fly free across the void to find you. The sun is a yellow dwarf star, a G-type main sequence star. To us, it is everything. It defines our days, our seasons, and our very survival. But in the grand tapestry of the Milky Way, it is just one of hundreds of billions. Yet it is perfectly tuned for us. If it were a little larger, it would burn too hot and die too young. If it were a little smaller, we would be locked in an eternal ice age. We live in a balanced cradle, held by the gravity of a star that is neither too wild nor too quiet. It is the perfect rhythmic pulse of our corner of the universe. Allow your breathing to match that steady, ancient rhythm. In and out. Safe in the glow of a star that has watched over the earth for 4.5 billion years. There is no rush tonight. There is only the slow, eternal light of the sun. To understand the sun, we must look back to a time before it existed. Nearly 5 billion years ago, this part of the galaxy was a cold, dark place. There was no light here, no planets, no life. Only a vast, silent cloud of gas and dust drifting through the interstellar void. This cloud, the solar nebula, was composed of the remnants of stars long dead. It contained the hydrogen and helium of the Big Bang, mixed with the iron, carbon, and oxygen forged in the bellies of ancient giants. Then, something happened, and perhaps a nearby star died in a violent supernova, sending a ripple, a shockwave, through the silence. That ripple was the spark. It nudged the cloud, causing a small pocket of gas to become slightly denser than the rest. gravity, the patient sculpture we spoke of before, began its work. It pulled the atoms closer together. The more they clumped, the stronger the gravity became. The cloud began to collapse inward, falling into itself like a slow-motion dream. As it collapsed, it began to spin. Think of a figure skater drawing their arms inward to spin faster and faster. The nebula flattened into a disk, a swirling, glowing whirlpool of fire and dust. At the very center, where the pressure was greatest, the temperature began to climb. It was no longer just a cloud, it was a protostar. Our infant sun, wrapped in a thick blanket of dust, was waking up. For millions of years it grew. It devoured the surrounding gas, pulling mass into its core, getting hotter and hotter and hotter. Finally, a threshold was crossed. The temperature in the core reached 15 million degrees Celsius. At this unfathomable heat, hydrogen atoms can no longer resist each other. They slammed together. They fused. In that moment, the sun ignited. A massive burst of energy pushed back against the crushing weight of gravity. The star stabilized. The first light of the sun cut through the darkness of the nebula, blowing away the remaining dust and revealing the planets that were forming in its wake. Our sun was born, and it has been shining with that same steady fire ever since. As you drift deeper into relaxation, feel the stability of that birth, a process that took millions of years just so you could have a world to call home. Now let us travel deeper, past the glowing surface, past the boiling layers of plasma, down into the very center of the sun. This is the core. It is a place of unimaginable extremes, yet there is a profound, steady stillness here. Imagine a pressure so great that it is 250 billion times the pressure we feel at sea level on Earth. The material here is so dense that a spoonful of it would weigh more than a dozen grown men. And the temperature? 15 million degrees. In this crushing, white-hot environment, the very nature of matter changes. Atoms are stripped of their electrons, reduced to their simplest parts. Hydrogen nuclei, simple protons, are forced so close together that they overcome their natural urge to repel one another. They slam together and they fuse. This is the engine of life. Every single second, the sun turns 600 million tons of hydrogen into 596 million tons of helium. You might wonder, where did those 4 million tons go? They didn't vanish. They were transformed into pure radiant energy. This is Einstein's famous equation in action: matter becoming light, matter becoming warmth. But this energy doesn't just fly out into space. It begins a long, incredibly slow journey. As you lie still, feel the pace of this process. The sun is not in a hurry. It is a slow, methodical burn that has lasted for billions of years and will last for billions more. Eventually, the energy reaches a point where the sun becomes less dense. Here, the rules of the journey change. The energy no longer hops from atom to atom. It begins to move with the material itself. Welcome to the convective zone. This is a vast, boiling sea of plasma. Imagine a pot of thick soup simmering on a stove. The hot material from the bottom rises up in great glowing bubbles. As they reach the surface, they release their heat into space, cool down, and sink back to the bottom to be heated again. These bubbles, or convection cells, are enormous. Some are the size of countries, others are the size of entire continents. They rise and fall in a slow, rhythmic cycle. This is the sun's way of breathing, a constant, powerful, but steady churn of energy. It takes only about a week for the material to rise through this final layer. After the long, million-year struggle of the radiative zone, the light is finally approaching the exit. Feel the warmth of this rising plasma in your mind, a gentle, rhythmic rolling, up and down, warm and cool, like the slow waves of a vast golden ocean. As the plasma rises and falls, it generates massive magnetic fields. They twist and turn, weaving an invisible web around the star. Everything is connected. Everything is moving in harmony. Let your own body follow this cycle of rising and falling. With every breath, you are part of this cosmic circulation, safe, steady, and beautifully calm. The energy created in the core is born as high-energy gamma rays. If they could fly straight out, they would reach the surface in just over 2 seconds. But the sun is far too dense for a straight path. As the light leaves the core, it enters the radiative zone. This layer is so packed with atoms that it acts like a dense, infinite forest. Imagine a photon of light, a tiny packet of energy. It travels just a few millimeters before it slams into a hydrogen atom. It is absorbed, then spit out in a random direction. It travels another tiny distance, hits another atom, and is sent off again. This is known as the random walk. Back and forth, left and right, up and down. The photon is lost in a cosmic maze. It may spend 10,000 years, 100,000 years, even 1,000,000 years just trying to find its way out of this one layer. Think about that scale of time. The light from the sun that warmed the earth today may have been born when the first humans were just starting to walk the earth. It has been traveling toward you for 100,000 years, patiently making its way through the heart of the star. Allow your thoughts to slow down to this celestial pace. There is no need to rush. In the world of the sun, 1,000 years is but a moment. You are part of a story that moves with the patience of the stars. Let the weight of time soothe your mind into stillness. After a journey that may have lasted 1,000,000 years, the light finally reaches the threshold. Welcome to the photosphere. This is the surface of the sun, though it is not a solid ground like the Earth. It is a thin, glowing shell of gas, only a few hundred kilometers thick. This is the place where the sun becomes transparent. For the first time since its birth in the core, the energy is no longer trapped. It can finally fly. If you could look closely at this golden frontier, you would see that it is not smooth. It is covered in a pattern called granulation. Imagine a vast glowing field of popcorn, where each kernel is the size of a large city. These are the tops of the boiling bubbles from the convective zone below. hot gas rises in the center of each granule, spreads out, cools, and sinks back down in the darker, cooler lanes between them. The photosphere is where the sun's temperature drops to its lowest point, about 5,500 degrees Celsius. It is this precise temperature that gives our sun its gentle, yellowish-white glow. Take a moment to imagine this vast, bubbling golden ocean. Millions of these granules rising and falling in a slow, hypnotic rhythm. Each one lasts only about 20 minutes before it dissolves and a new one takes its place. It is a dance of constant renewal. As the light breaks free from this golden layer, it begins its 8-minute journey across the cold vacuum of space. The struggle is over. The light is free. And so is your mind. Let your thoughts fly away with the light, leaving the heavy world behind. Sometimes the steady pattern of the golden surface is broken. Dark spots appear, drifting slowly across the sun's face like silent islands in a sea of fire. These are sunspots. Though they look black to our eyes, it is only because they are cooler than the surrounding plasma. If you could see a sunspot on its own in the night sky, it would shine brighter than the full moon. But what causes these cool, dark regions? The answer lies in the sun's powerful magnetic fields. Deep within the sun, the moving plasma generates electricity, which creates magnetism. Sometimes these magnetic lines become tangled and knotted, bursting through the surface like great invisible loops. Where these loops break through, they act like a cosmic dam, blocking the hot gas from rising to the surface. The area cools down, and a sunspot is born. These spots are not small. A single sunspot can be several times larger than the entire Earth. They follow a long, rhythmic cycle of 11 years. Sometimes the sun's face is clear and calm. Other times it is dotted with dozens of these magnetic storms. As you breathe, imagine these dark, quiet islands. They are regions of intense focus and power. Even in the most energetic star, there are places of relative coolness. There are places where the fire slows down. Allow your own energy to find its cool, dark place. Like a sunspot on the golden surface, let your activity fade into a peaceful, quiet stillness. The storms of the day are over. The magnetic lines of your mind are untangling, leaving you calm, centered, and at rest. Above the golden surface of the photosphere, there is a hidden world that few ever see. This is the chromosphere, a thin, glowing atmosphere that shines with a hauntingly beautiful red light. For most of history, this layer was invisible to humans. It only reveals itself for a few brief seconds during a total solar eclipse. As the moon covers the bright disk of the sun, a thin crimson ring appears, a halo of hydrogen light. In this layer, the rules of the sun begin to defy logic. Usually, As you move away from a heat source, the temperature drops. But here, as we move higher into the sun's atmosphere, it begins to get hotter. The chromosphere is filled with spicules. Imagine a vast, fiery prairie where thousands of spikes of plasma shoot upward like blades of grass made of fire. They rise at 70,000 kilometers per hour, reaching thousands of miles into space before collapsing back down. It is a busy, vibrant place, but it is also strangely delicate. It is a transition, a bridge between the star itself and the vastness of space. Think of the color red, a deep, warm, soothing crimson. Let this red light wash over your mind. It is the color of the sun's breath, soft, glowing, and protective. You are drifting now, floating above the golden surface, resting in the warm red glow of the chromosphere. The spicules rise and fall like the grass in a gentle wind. Everything is rhythmic. Everything is precisely as it should be. Sleep is approaching, as steady as the rising plasma. As we leave the crimson glow of the chromosphere, we enter the final, most outer layer of the sun's atmosphere. This is the corona, the crown. Like the chromosphere, the corona is invisible to our eyes during the day, hidden by the overwhelming brilliance of the surface below. But during a total eclipse, when the moon perfectly masks the sun, the corona reveals itself as a ghostly, pearly white halo stretching millions of miles into the dark sky. It looks like delicate, wispy silk drifting in a cosmic breeze. But within this beauty lies one of the greatest mysteries in all of science. The surface of the sun is about 5,000 degrees, yet here, in the corona, the temperature suddenly leaps to over 1,000,000 degrees Celsius. It is as if you walked away from a campfire, and instead of feeling cooler, you suddenly found yourself in the middle of a furnace. Scientists believe this strange heat is caused by magnetic waves and tiny, constant explosions called nanoflares that pump energy into this outer atmosphere. Imagine this pearly white light flowing around you. It is thin, ethereal, and incredibly hot, yet it feels as light as a dream. The corona is the sun reaching out into the solar system, stretching its magnetic fingers towards the planets. In this high, thin air of the star, everything is in a state of beautiful, shimmering tension. Let your mind drift within these white streamers of light. You are floating far above the world, cradled in the very edges of the sun's embrace. The heat is no longer a burden. It is a gentle, golden energy that dissolves the last of your worries. The corona is so hot, and its gas is so energetic, that the sun's gravity can no longer hold on to it. It begins to leak away. This constant stream of particles, flowing outward in every direction, is the solar wind. The sun is constantly breathing out. Every second, it loses about 1,000,000 tons of its own material to this cosmic wind. It travels at incredible speeds, over 1,000,000 miles per hour, rushing past Mercury, past Venus, and eventually reaching us here on Earth. But we are safe. Our Earth has a magnetic shield of its own, a protective bubble that deflects the solar wind like water flowing around the bow of a ship. Sometimes these particles find a way in near the North and South poles. When they collide with our atmosphere, they create the aurora, the northern and southern lights, curtains of green, pink, and violet light dancing in the night sky. This is the visible signature of the sun's breath touching the air of our home. Think of the solar wind as a vast, invisible ocean that fills the entire solar system. We are living inside the atmosphere of our star. Even the furthest planets, Neptune and Pluto, feel the touch of this wind. It is a constant, rhythmic flow. As you breathe in, imagine you are drawing in the calm energy of the cosmos. As you breathe out, let your breath join the solar wind, flowing away from the Earth, drifting past the moon, out into the peaceful, quiet dark. There is nothing to hold on to. There is only the flow. The sun is a dynamic, living thing. Sometimes the magnetic fields we spoke of earlier become so twisted that they snap. In an instant, they release an amount of energy equal to millions of nuclear bombs. These are solar flares, brilliant flashes of light that erupt from the surface, sending radiation across the solar system in seconds. And then there are the prominences. Imagine giant, glowing loops of plasma arcing tens of thousands of miles into the corona. They are shaped like the handles of a great cup, held in place by invisible magnetic hands. Sometimes they stay there for weeks, a silent, majestic bridge of fire. Sometimes they break, hurling billions of tons of solar material into space in a coronal mass ejection. From our perspective, these are events of terrifying power. But from the distance of the Earth, they are like distant fireworks in a slow-motion, silent film. They are part of the sun's natural cycle. The star is simply rearranging itself, finding a new balance, releasing tension. Think of your own tension as these magnetic loops. Imagine them slowly relaxing, settling back down into the golden surface. The energy is spent. The storm has passed. What is left is a deep, profound calm. The sun continues to shine, unwavering and steady. The great loops have settled. The flares have faded. The star is at peace, and so are you. Sleep is pulling you inward, just as gravity holds the sun together. Safe, silent, and still. Take a long, slow breath in, and as you release it, imagine the space around us. We often think of space as an empty void, a nothingness that stretches between the stars. But the sun teaches us something different. The sun is so massive, so heavy, that it actually warps the fabric of the universe itself. Imagine a vast, stretched sheet of dark velvet. If you place a heavy golden ball in the center, the velvet curves and dips under its weight. This is what the sun does to space and time. It sits in a deep, invisible well of its own making. The Earth, the Moon, and all the planets are like marbles rolling around the edge of this curve. We are not just floating, we are being held. Gravity is the invisible thread that connects us to the star. It is a silent, constant pull that keeps us from drifting away into the cold, dark ocean of the galaxy. Think about the silence of this connection. There are no chains, no visible ropes, just the patient, unwavering hand of the sun reaching out across millions of miles to guide us in our orbit. Everything in our world, the tides of the ocean, the orbit of our moon, even the weight of your own body as you lie there, is a part of this grand gravitational dance. Feel that weight now. Allow the gravity of the Earth, which is tied to the gravity of the sun, to pull you deeper into your bed. You are anchored. You are safe. The universe is holding you exactly where you need to be. Let your mind rest in the certainty of this invisible embrace. The light that leaves the sun's surface does not just come to us. It travels in every direction, bathing the entire solar system in its ancient glow. Imagine following a single ray of light as it flies away from the star. In just over 3 minutes, it reaches Mercury, a small, scorched world where the sun looks 3 times larger than it does on Earth. The light here is blinding, the heat intense enough to melt lead. The light carries on, reaching Venus in 6 minutes, where it is trapped by thick, swirling clouds of acid, creating a world of eternal, crushing heat. After 8 minutes, it reaches our home, Earth. Here, it is filtered by our atmosphere, turning into the gentle blue of our sky and the warm gold of our afternoons. But the light does not stop. It rushes past us, reaching the red deserts of Mars in 13 minutes. By the time it reaches Jupiter, 43 minutes have passed. The sun has become a small, incredibly bright coin in the dark sky. The light travels for hours, past the rings of Saturn, past the ice giants Uranus and Neptune. When it finally reaches Pluto, 5 hours later, the sun is just a very bright star. The warmth is gone, replaced by a faint, pale twilight. Think of the vastness the sun's light must cross. It fills the void. It touches every moon, every rock, and every grain of ice in the dark. The sun is a lighthouse for an entire kingdom of worlds. As you drift, imagine your own awareness stretching out with that light. Past the clouds, past the moon, out into the quiet reaches of the gas giants. The further you go, the quieter it becomes. The light is fading, the cold is peaceful, and the silence is absolute. Even though the sun seems unchanging to us, it has a rhythm, a slow and steady heartbeat. Every 11 years, the sun undergoes a profound transformation. This is the solar cycle. Imagine the sun's magnetic field, those invisible lines of force we spoke of. Over several years, they become more and more tangled. Sunspots appear more frequently. Flares erupt more often. The star becomes restless. Then, at the peak of this restlessness, something incredible happens. The sun's magnetic poles flip. North becomes south. South becomes north. Once the flip is complete, the sun begins to quiet down again. The magnetic lines untangle. The surface becomes smooth and clear. The star enters a period of deep, deep solar minimum, a time of rest before the cycle begins anew. This cycle has been repeating for billions of years, a steady 11-year pulse that has governed our solar system since long before life began. It is a reminder that even the greatest stars have periods of activity and periods of rest. Think of your own life as part of these great cycles. The day is your period of activity, but now you have reached your own minimum. Your thoughts are untangling. Your energy is settling. Like the sun after its poles have flipped, you are entering a time of profound quiet. The rhythm is natural. The rhythm is necessary. Allow yourself to sink into this low point of the cycle. There is no need for light now, no need for energy. There is only the peaceful, restorative dark that comes before a new dawn. Even though the sun seems unchanging to us, it has a rhythm, a slow and steady heartbeat. Every 11 years, the sun undergoes a profound transformation. This is the solar cycle. Imagine the sun's magnetic field, those invisible lines of force we spoke of. Over several years, they become more and more tangled. Sunspots appear more frequently. Flares erupt more often. The star becomes restless. Then, at the peak of this restlessness, something incredible happens. The sun's magnetic poles flip. North becomes south. South becomes north. Once the flip is complete, the sun begins to quiet down again. The magnetic lines untangle. The surface becomes smooth and clear. The star enters a period of deep, deep solar minimum, a time of rest before the cycle begins anew. This cycle has been repeating for billions of years, a steady 11-year pulse that has governed our solar system since long before life began. It is a reminder that even the greatest stars have periods of activity and periods of rest. Think of your own life as part of these great cycles. The day is your period of activity, but now you have reached your own minimum. Your thoughts are untangling. Your energy is settling. Like the sun after its poles have flipped, you are entering a time of profound quiet. The rhythm is natural. The rhythm is necessary. Allow yourself to sink into this low point of the cycle. There is no need for light now, no need for energy. There is only the peaceful, restorative dark that comes before a new dawn. For as long as there have been humans on this earth, we have been watchers of the sun. Long before we had telescopes, long before we understood nuclear fusion, we felt the sun's power in our very bones. Imagine a group of people, standing on a high ridge 5,000 years ago. To them, the sun was not a star, it was a god. They saw it as a golden chariot or a flaming eye, traveling through the heavens to bring back the day. Think of the ancient builders of Stonehenge, how they dragged massive stones across the land to align them perfectly with the sunrise on the longest day of the year. They knew that their lives depended on the star's cycle. The sun told them when to plant, when to harvest, and when the long, cold dark of winter was coming to an end. In the dry deserts of Egypt, they worshipped Ra. They built their pyramids to point toward the light, believing that the sun was the ultimate source of all truth and justice. Even the word Sunday is a faint echo of this ancient reverence. As you drift deeper now, feel that historical weight. You are part of a very long line of humans who have found peace in the sunset and hope in the sunrise. The same light that touched the faces of those ancient builders is the light that warmed your skin today. It is a constant in an ever-changing world. The civilizations of old have turned to dust, the empires have fallen, and the heroes have been forgotten, but the sun remains, unwavering, patient, and eternal. There is a deep comfort in this continuity. You don't need to worry about the future. You don't need to fear the dark. The sun has been there for every night of human history, waiting just below the horizon to return and wash away the shadows. Rest in the knowledge of this ancient bond. The star is watching over you, just as it has watched over everyone who came before. The day is done, the story is written, and you are safe in the timeless embrace of the stars. Now, let us expand our sense of movement. Even as you lie there, feeling perfectly still, you are part of a grand, silent migration across the Milky Way. The sun is not a stationary anchor. It is rushing through the galaxy at nearly 800,000 kilometers per hour. But the galaxy is so vast, so incomprehensibly large, that we cannot feel this frantic speed. To us, it feels like a slow, effortless drift. The sun is orbiting the center of the Milky Way, a mysterious, glowing heart where a supermassive black hole resides. It takes the sun about 230 million years to complete just one single loop around the galaxy. Think of that scale: one galactic year. The last time the sun was in this exact spot in the galaxy, the very first dinosaurs were just beginning to walk the Earth. The continents were joined together. The air was different. Human beings were still a dream in the far, distant future. As you breathe, imagine the sun leading us through the spiral arms of our galaxy. We are passing through massive clouds of gas and dust. We are drifting past ancient star clusters where millions of suns huddle together. We are moving through the history of the universe itself. The journey is smooth. The journey is certain. You don't need to do anything to move forward. The momentum of the galaxy is carrying you. The gravity of the star is holding you. Allow yourself to sink into this eternal motion. You are a voyager, drifting through the deep, peaceful dark of the Milky Way. Every star has a story. And every story has a beginning. When our sun was born nearly 5 billion years ago, it was not born alone in the dark. Stars are born in clusters, cosmic nurseries where a single giant cloud of gas collapses to form hundreds, even thousands of suns at once. Our sun has brothers and sisters, suns that were forged from the same dust, suns that were lit by the same spark. For millions of years, they lived together. Imagine a sky filled with nearby stars, glowing with different colors, brilliant blues, soft yellows, and gentle reds. It was a time of shared light. But over billions of years, the siblings drifted apart. The gravitational pull of the galaxy slowly tugged at them, scattering them across the vast reaches of space. One by one, the sun's family wandered away into the dark. Today, astronomers are searching for these solar twins. They look for stars with the exact same chemical fingerprint as our sun. The same amount of iron, the same amount of carbon, the same ancient memory of the nebula that gave them life. We have found a few of them, distant stars, many light years away, that are almost identical to the star that warms us. They are out there, shining in their own corners of the galaxy, perhaps holding planets of their own. Think of the comfort of that connection. Even in the vastness of space, our sun is not truly alone. Its family is scattered among the constellations. You, too, are connected to things you cannot see. Your history is shared with the stars. Your elements are their elements. Rest in the knowledge of this cosmic kinship. Everything is connected. Everything belongs. And everything is home. The sun is a dynamic, living force. It does not just send us light, it breathes. Imagine the sun's outer atmosphere, the corona. It is so hot and its particles are so energetic that the sun's gravity can no longer hold on to them. They leak away into space, flowing outward in every direction like a constant, invisible stream. This is the solar wind. Every second, the sun loses 1 million tons of its own material to this cosmic wind. It travels at incredible speeds, over 1 million miles per hour, rushing past the planets, pushing against the vacuum of space. As it reaches the Earth, it meets our protective shield. Our planet has a magnetic field, an invisible bubble that deflects the solar wind like a stone deflecting a stream of water. But sometimes the wind finds a way in. Near the north and south poles, the particles collide with our air, creating the aurora, curtains of green, violet, and crimson light dancing across the night sky. This is the signature of the sun's breath touching our world. Think of the solar wind as a warm breeze that fills the entire solar system. We are living inside the atmosphere of our star. Even in the cold, dark reaches of Neptune, the sun's wind is felt. Allow your own breathing to match the pace of this solar wind. Slow, steady, and constant. With every breath, you are connected to the energy of the star. The wind carries away the debris of the day. It clears your mind. It leaves you light, airy, and perfectly calm. The sun has a rhythm that lasts longer than any human season. Every 11 years, the sun undergoes a profound change. This is the solar cycle, the star's own heartbeat. Imagine the magnetic fields of the sun. They are like invisible rubber bands, stretching and twisting as the sun rotates. Because the sun is made of plasma, its middle spins faster than its top and bottom. This causes the magnetic lines to get tangled and knotted, like a ball of yarn that has been played with. As the tension builds, sunspots appear on the surface. Flares erupt like cosmic fireworks. The sun reaches its period of maximum activity. Then, at the peak of the storm, something incredible happens. The magnetic poles of the sun actually flip. North becomes south. South becomes north. Once the flip is complete, the tension is released. The magnetic lines untangle. The surface becomes smooth and clear again. The sun enters a period of solar minimum, a time of deep, star-wide rest. Think of your own life as part of these great cycles. You have your times of activity, of tension, and of energy. But now, you have reached your own minimum. Your thoughts are untangling. Your poles are shifting toward peace. The knots of the day are being released. Like the sun after its long cycle, you are entering a time of profound, restorative quiet. The rhythm is natural. The rhythm is necessary. Let the cycle of the star guide you into the stillness. Safe, steady, and forever calm. Now let us follow the light. Imagine a single photon finally escaping the golden surface of the photosphere. After 1,000,000 years of struggling through the sun's interior, it is finally free. It begins to fly across the cold, silent vacuum of space at the speed of 186,000 miles per second. This light is the bridge that connects the star to its family of worlds. In just over 3 minutes, it reaches Mercury. Imagine the view from this scorched, airless rock. The sun here is enormous, 3 times larger than you have ever seen it. The light is blinding, hitting the gray craters with such intensity that the surface glows like molten silver. There is no wind to carry the heat, only the silent, crushing pressure of the light itself. The light continues its journey, reaching Venus in 6 minutes. It hits the thick, swirling yellow clouds of acid, scattering and reflecting until the entire atmosphere glows with a pale, ghostly yellow twilight. The energy is trapped here, held in a suffocating embrace that creates a world of eternal fire. Then, at the 8-minute mark, the light reaches us, Earth. As it hits our blue atmosphere, it softens. It scatters into the sapphire blue of our sky. It touches the leaves of forests, the surface of oceans, and the skin of every living thing. Our world is a sanctuary because of this precise 8-minute connection. But the light does not stop at Earth. It carries on, growing fainter as the distance increases. It reaches the red dust of Mars in 13 minutes, the massive clouds of Jupiter in 45 minutes, and the icy rings of Saturn in over an hour. Think of the vastness of this kingdom. The sun is a lighthouse standing in the center of an ocean of dark. Its light travels for billions of miles, reaching out to touch the cold ice of Pluto and the distant rocks of the Kuiper Belt 5 hours after it left the star. Feel your own awareness stretching out with that light, past the moon, past the planets, out into the quiet, frozen reaches of the system. The further you go, the quieter it becomes. The light is a faint, steady pulse in the distance, and you are drifting in the peaceful, cold dark that only the stars can see. As we draw this long journey to its close, let your awareness gently return to the room around you. Feel the weight of your body, the soft texture of your sheets, and the rhythmic rising and falling of your chest. We have traveled to the white-hot core of our star. We have seen the birth of light and the long, patient struggle to reach the surface. We have felt the solar wind and watched the sun grow into a red giant and fade into a white dwarf. But there is one final truth that is more profound than any distance in space. You are not just a witness to the sun, you are a part of it. Every atom of oxygen you breathe, the iron that flows in your blood, the carbon that builds your very cells, it was all forged in the belly of a star that lived and died long before our world was born. The sun is your ancestor. The energy that powers your heart is the same energy that makes the stars shine. When you look at the sun, you are looking at your origins. And when you close your eyes at night, you are returning to that same ancient peace that existed before the light began. Visualize the sun now, dipping far below the horizon. The gold has faded into a deep, cool indigo. The warmth has settled into the earth. The star has done its work for the day. It is resting, and so must you. There is no more to learn. There is no more to see. The universe is continuing its slow, magnificent work while you sleep. The gravity of the star is holding the planets. The light of a billion suns is traveling through the void. And you are safe. You are settled. You are home. Let your breathing become as slow as a galactic year. Let your mind become as quiet as the interstellar void. As the stars turn above, sink into the deep velvet dark. Thank you for sharing this journey through the light with me. Sleep now, cradled in the arms of the cosmos. Good night.